Yeah, so you were talking about phytoestrogens, and let's just hope nobody calls and interrupts us in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I was talking about, people, implying that you can complete all of your protein from plants. Now, bear in mind, I'm talking it in a very Indian context because a lot of people in India don't have access to all of those soy proteins and, things that are quite better than, lentil and rice, but quite not equal to. So let's dive into this trade. People say that you can combine, lentils and rice to complete the amino acid profile. So let's get this straight, all right? 100 grams of cooked lentil, and 100 grams of raw lentil, and 100 grams of white rice. When you cook them, the lentils become 250 grams when they are cooked, and white rice becomes 300 grams when they are cooked. So that's a total of 550 grams of cooked food, and that provides you with
For reference,
2.35.
our stomach has an absolute capacity of 946 to 950 grams, and like that's like saying your heart can even by that metric, that is like saying your heart can beat 300 beats per minute. It's not going to be comfortable, it's not going to be good. So in most cases, the highest capacity that you can fill up without doing bad stuff to yourself, without basically self harm, is like exactly that amount, 550 grams.
Yeah, and then that has the leucine. Now, leucine is one of the most important amino acid. It's an essential amino acid in the sense that leucine is what triggers
I
muscle
have a little
protein
question.
synthesis.
How much protein is there in 100 grams of, like, let's say any lentil? How many grams?
100 grams of lentil, cooked or raw.
Like raw.
It's around, let's say, it ranges from 25 to 28 grams.
And rice?
100 grams of rice. I don't know what's it in raw. Let me search.
Yeah, search for both, like cross check both.
If you are asking about like 100 grams of 100 grams of raw rice, when it's cooked, the total protein is like 8 grams. So 300 grams of cooked rice has 8 grams of protein.
8 grams, and let's say you consume 8 grams, and now this is not accounting for what would happen if you actually consume 100 grams of cooked lentils. That's still going to give you a stomach upset from the very fact that you're consuming that much lentils. But in spite of that, like, this is for the sake of argument, all right? You would never really consume this kind of a diet anyways. That would cause tons of problems to you anyways. So yeah, this is just for the sake of argument. So 100 grams of lentils has, let's say, 30 grams of protein at most. 30 grams plus 30 grams plus 8, 38, 38, 76. That is barely like the average weight. That is like the barest minimum, the average weight of a person in most cases. That is not going to be enough for muscle building. And most men today, they don't want to be just surviving on the bare amount of protein. Do you know anyone who really wants to survive on the bare amount of protein and not have some muscle mass today?
Uh, Barely, only the monks.
Yeah, like, even then there's a lot of problems with this diet, with this hypothetical diet. 100 grams of lentils is like, it's a recipe for
No,
disaster.
no, dude, that's 100 grams of raw lentils. When you
Yeah,
cook it,
raw
it
lentils.
becomes
We are
250
talking
grams.
about raw lentils. 100
Yeah,
grams
it
of raw
becomes 250
lentils,
grams.
that is basically the stuff for an entire family.
Yeah, it becomes 250 grams when cooked. It becomes 250 grams when cooked.
Bro, you are also not considering another thing. Lentils not only becomes 250 grams when cooked, people actually consume the water in which it is boiled in. So जो हम लोग जो 250 grams की बात कर रहे हैं, that is not the total weight of the thing either. There's a lot of liquid in it. That's, if you are considering in the Indian context, there's a lot of liquid on top of that.
Yeah, but even if you exclude the Indian context and just
So
look at
it's just the grains after cooking, they expand in weight, and On top of that, you have the water, which you use to moisten, like wetten
Make
the rice.
Yeah, again, and if you compare 650 grams of food, no, 550 grams of food would give you 2.35 grams of leucine, and compared to that, 150 grams of chicken breast has like 3 grams of leucine. So the comparison isn't even,
And you
and
know
you
the
need
funny thing,
minimum.
after you cook chicken breast, the 150-gram chicken breast is gonna be like what? 100 grams?
No, no, that
110
no,
grams?
no, I'm talking about 150 grams of cooked chicken
All
breast.
right, cooked chicken
It has,
breast.
but still, 150 grams of chicken breast is pretty doable by almost everybody who has a decent appetite. And you need minimum of 2.5 grams of leucine in order to
Well,
establish
here's
muscle
another
protein
question.
synthesis.
Here's another question. How many calories are there in 100 grams of rice, raw rice?
100 grams of okay, let me pull up. 100, it has 360 calories.
And how many
360.
calories? Raw rice. Ask for raw rice.
नहीं, ये 300, this is like 300 grams cooked rice. It's 360 calories.
Yeah, and what's in like 100 grams of legumes?
So when yellow lentil is cooked, 100 grams of it is cooked, it's 340 calories.
Cooked lentils,
So
340. Is it the cooked or raw one?
no, it's 100 grams cooked into 250 grams. That's 340.
Yeah.
So it's consistent. So it's like 700 calories per meal. And for chicken breast, it's like around 160 to 170.
Yeah, so it is
160 to
also excess
170.
calories. It is also excess calories.
Yeah. And you won't be able to finish this meal by any circumstance without without shitting a brick ton.
Without shooting a brick ton, and it would not be fun. Like, generally, it would not be fun to consume that much food at one go. Like, most people cannot consume anything more than 500 grams of cooked food.
Also, like let's be like totally honest. Meat.
What happened, man?
Lentils and all, most of the vegetarian foods.
Yeah. I just totally missed your voice. You have to repeat your point.
No, I said that like let's be honest to ourselves and not kid ourselves. Meat in general does taste better than most of the plant foods.
Yeah, so the implication of that is if you are to consume a significant amount of lentils, you have to use a lot of spices in most cases. While chicken soup, which uses a minimum amount of spices, that still tastes very good. Salted meat still has some really good taste to it, while generally it's not like even the fruits, right, the vegetables which are by nature like fruits, like tomatoes or like the beans, they have some taste. But when we are talking about legumes and rice, let's be honest, these are grasses. They're not supposed to taste good. They're grass seeds.
Yeah, and there's no denying in that. Like I admit, like even like a lot of people mess up chicken breast and they don't know how to cook it and they eat it like fucking prison food. But it can be made better.
Yeah. And also, all of these studies, and this should have been discussed a long while ago. I hope I pronounced the name right. All of these studies about red meat supposedly causing colon cancer, these are not really studies about red meat. These are studies about AGEs and Maillard reaction, right? It's called the Maillard reaction, which happens when you cook meat at a high temperature without any moisture. Right, that's what happens when you cook meat in that kind of a circumstance. it creates a large number of AGEs, and even then it is not like cancer causing to a huge percentage of the population. There's like 1 in 10,000 people who would be susceptible, like genetically predisposed to where their body considers those chemicals to be carcinogens.
Yeah, also people associate the fact that processed meat is harmful for you, which we agree as well, and then extrapolate from the fact that all meats are harmful for you. And this kind of extrapolation also works with like how carnivores extrapolate. They see that, oh, there are certain plants which are causing harm, that means all plants must be causing harm. Like this
You
is
know,
the
this is the
mindset
this
of
is the funny thing. If you have like niche studies with a certain kind of cooking involved, you can certainly find that every single food can be carcinogenic if it's cooked in a certain way for a minority of people in the population. But again, the risk is so low. It's like saying if you go bare chested outside, your chances of getting murdered by a knife attacker increased by 200%. Now, that would be because a knife doesn't get a lot of knives don't get a lot of purchase on clothes, and if you are clothed, then your chances of getting killed are slightly lower. But that is ignoring the fact that your chances of getting attacked outside to begin with are extremely low.
Yeah, like exactly, like you. This is like kind of okay. Don't feel grossed out, but this is kind of like circumcision data. They're like, oh, bro, like the chances of you getting certain type of tumor or certain type of disease, STD, is 10 times lower. But that tumor was already like 1 in 10,000. Now it's become 1 in 100,000. To save that many people, you need you need to circumcise around 9,999 people, which is not feasible at all.
Like, bro, like this is such a stupid trade-off. Like every single thing we do can, in certain circumstances, be risky. Like you have bottles at home, right? Plastic bottles or metal bottles, whatever. There could be a certain scenario where you trip over those bottles and you fall face first into the ground and your nose breaks and it gets pushed back into your brain and you fucking die. But you wouldn't stop having bottles at your home because of that, would you?
Exactly. People need to understand the statistical, not only the clinical significance, but the real life significance of something. Yeah,
Like
you
this
can
stuff,
circumcise,
these studies should not be interfering with your real world decision making.
Yeah, it should only be the case if that if smoking is an absolute disaster, and that study should affect your decision to smoke. You shouldn't smoke. That kind of thing should
Like
work.
what
But
is the R value? Like if you have something with a R value of like 0.00005, then it simply doesn't make any changes. If it's above zero point 0.2, then yeah, it probably has real life repercussions.
yeah, so and most of the people don't eat like heavily charred meat. Like people who are health conscious don't eat heavily charred meat anyways. And for me, I believe that seafood in general is better than terrestrial meat. On general, not like in every case, but on general, seafood is much
Like
better than terrestrial meat.
even red meats from the sea, like whale, and people are often grossed out and they absolutely hate people who eat whales and stuff like that. But it's probably the best red meat out there.
Yeah, and I believe seafood in seafoods in general are